What is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Xavier Turbos. Jesus Christ, I'm all over the place. We're here for the Patreon Q&A episode. I'm joined by Grant McCann, the coach of the Pretenders. How are you, Grant?
Hey,
haven't seen you in a while.
No, it has been a while. Lucky you, hey? Lucky you.
I'll make that joke every time we have a back-to-back podcast.
That's fine. I think the fans love it.
You are listening to this on a Wednesday. If you're a Patreon member, you're listening to this as soon as you've finished our 2-hour massive episode that we just dropped on Tuesday night. You're probably listening to this on Wednesday night anyway, let's be honest. But
do not miss that, though. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there.
There's a lot of good content. It's not just player-wise. We did a mid-season review, which was unplanned, but it was also very good, very natural. Also, what do you think we took out of that chat?
I think I said it right at the end of the podcast. I found this round really uncertain. Not in myself, like I'm pretty confident in my trades and stuff, but there's not really any like crazy standouts. There's a lot of good options. A lot of what I would say 8 out of 10 options. And how do you fit all them in 1 week?
100%. I agree with that. No 10 out of 10 options. Oh, there's one. Nathan Cleary.
I think so.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have him. So if you don't own Cleary, yeah. 100%
agree. All right, our first question is in the Patreon group. Can bring in Munster and Cleary for Starling and Metcalf leaves me with 20K in the bank. Leaves me with 20K in the bank, though. He has like a very concerned emoji attached to it. Pull the trigger. I can use a boost to maybe trade out Garrick because he's made a nice cash gen for his draw for the next few weeks. Plus Turbo out is a bit rough. Maybe Garrick to Herbie could be a play.
Ooh. That's a very interesting.
Well, it's funny because I feel like he's worried about his cash in the bank after trades because he's probably got cash sitting there in the bank, which I completely understand. You've saved this cash. You want to make big purchases. It doesn't feel like you've quite hit the nail on the head just yet. So I get that. You don't need to make that Garrick to Herbie play. We did talk about the Herbie, the Garrick sell.
We actually covered both in the podcast, which is good.
We did very heavily, and I've been talking about Herbie a lot, have I?
Yeah,
Do you feel like
I know. I've been. I can't speak for you, but I've been talking about him to a lot of people.
Okay, so we both have.
I believe he's my first. It's not just that he doesn't play Origin. I just think he's got a crazy floor. Like he has a crazy floor for a centre winger. He's a phenomenal footballer.
Yeah. So for me, bringing in Munster and Cleary for Metcalf and Starling, it's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, that's a great pair of trades.
It's a great pair of trades. And I know it leaves you with 20K in the bank, but the Garrick to Herbie trade, I think that's purely based on what you want.
Yeah, well, look, if you're worried about having cash in the bank, could I interest you if you're going to boost? And don't think about this as buying a cheapie with the boost, right? Think about getting one of Munster or Cleary as your boost options. Get one of those back rowers this week. Downgrade one of your mid-range back rowers and get an Egan or a Katonga or a Kant, and we talked about all those in the potty as well. Like, use that as your way to create the cash to trade next week, so you don't have to get rid of Garrick. That's what I would do, because if you're getting two guns and one cheapie in on a boost week, I never think of it as the cheapie is the boost, even though you can technically afford it here.
Yes,
you're actually doing it to allow future moves to come forward a week or two.
Yes, I guess the cheapie for the boost. Just think about like using a boost to get another gun in is the way you want to play. If you can do it this week, just hold on to it. But I'm so sorry. But yeah, 100% agree with you. We've got Damon in the Patreon WhatsApp questions thread. Rank these three in order of who you would sell first: Starling, Seafarth, and Dewey.
Ooh,
all sells, in my opinion. I'd probably go Dewey 1, Starling 2, Seafarth 3, but I think they're all pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's super close. I would probably, assuming that you have Dewey as your 5/8 number 2, and I think 5/8 is a really average spot at the moment, I'd actually happily keep him because he's just plugging away there.
Yep.
I think Starling's plugging away in it's like he's going to probably average around 50 in a spot where, as we said, we don't know who to get at hooker at the moment. I actually think Seafarth is the best sell there, but not because he actually might average the most of them.
That's true.
But because he's in the best selling position.
Yep.
That's my view.
Agree.
Yep.
I was I was thinking Dewey was available at centre wing there.
Yeah,
but,
and he
but
might. And if he is, I would say he
Yeah.
jumps to one straight away.
100% agree with you if he is at 5'8", because I'm managing Hectic Fred's side at the moment.
Yep.
And he's got Dewey at 5'8", and I'm just like, fuck, who can you upgrade him to? And this week he wanted to get rid of him. He wanted to get Jerome Hughes. And he had cash in the bank, so I was like, you can go to Galvin or Dylan Brown. I'm not really overly excited by either of these guys, but you don't really have any other people to sell, so you kind of should do it now, I guess. But yeah, I think 100% agree with you there. Travis, time to move Hines onto Hughes.
I would think that you've got more pressing issues in this particular week, but we did touch on it, and I'm not entirely opposed to it, but I just don't want to. I don't think Nico's a sell yet.
I don't think he is either. It was a pretty poor performance on the weekend. He scored 50, and Timmy was calling me throughout that game, and he thought his weekend was done just based on that. He's like, I should have gone Pappy. I mean, the question still is left to be begged because Pappy isn't injured. I thought when he got injured, I was like, it was the right move, I'll tell you. But I think last week was a bad week. We can't go off that one game sample size. If you've just bought him last week, ride him this week. I think the Sharks off 2 losses against 2 gritty sides. I mean, coming into Manly after a 48-0, not 48-0, but like 48 points put on them, it's a very tricky place for them to be put in. But if they don't bounce back this week in any sense, then
yeah, I think it opens it up, right? Like, do you just to maybe give you something to ponder? What was the fella's name? Sorry, Trav. Just something for you to ponder. Do you have the option to get Hughes in the flex, and does that save you selling Hines to do it? It might only push the Hines sale a week or two if it ends up going that way, but something to consider. It doesn't have to be Hines.
Putting them up against each other,
Yep.
Hines versus Hughes as a buy.
Yeah, I'd rather Hughes. Yep, clearly.
I agree with that.
I just watched your brain tick over for 5 minutes in the podcast when you realised that they were playing the Warriors at home on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Yep.
Concerning for all non-owners, I would say.
Yeah. Bear says Hines disappoints me every week. I think he's averaged pretty well considering.
Yeah, I think he's going okay.
So,
I think he's. I definitely don't. I don't see Hines as a sell. That's my view.
We need Tricky Trindle to have a night out at Northies soon and drive home. So
I might take him.
George, is boosting 4 weeks in a row too much? What circumstances do you think is reasonable to do so? For me, there aren't major issues except for the fact I'm ranked 30K mark and want to be aggressive. I think the context is important, and I'm glad you've pointed it out.
I know that you're a more aggressive player than me, but I have become more of an aggressor in the last few years in the way I play, and I think everyone has had to because there's so many good super coaches out there now. Boosting 4 weeks in a row, I do not care if you boost 4 weeks in a row. I've got no issue with it. There's no such thing as like just not boosting for the sake of it. Just make sure your trades are worth boosting for. So you're saying you rank 30K, it's your 4th boost in a row. Are you getting 2 guns in to try and rectify that 30K, 2 guns and a cheapie or something? I'd say go ahead, do it again. If you're trying to get, 2 or 3 cheapies to free up cash, then I'd probably suggest you don't need to boost. It's simple as that.
100%. I think boosting is overrated. Get your side as right as possible. Generate that cash early. You don't need the boost later on because you've already got the cash to do it. So boosting is to generate cash to get your side to where you want it to be nice and early. And the word boost, it's very daunting.
Yeah.
The word is, it feels like it's a naughty thing to do, but it's actually not. Like I feel like I did really well last year and I boosted the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that easily without it affecting your side.
I genuinely don't think there is a hard and fast rule on boosting outside of just like you have to be getting a player that is worth boosting for.
Yes.
And that may not be specifically like a player is, as we talked about, a 10 out of 10 option for that week, but it may be that that opens you up next week to really attack again. So you may get 2 guns and a cheapie this week and another gun next week, and I'd say that's a really good reason to boost.
100%. We got Pat. Thoughts on Gilbert to Wong?
I haven't considered it myself, but I'm not against it. I reckon Wong could easily average like 65 on that edge. He looks. I mean, I did have a look at his base power in the last 4 weeks since he's been playing 80 minutes. 76.
Wow.
56, 60, and 83.
Far
Base
out.
power average well north of, like in the mid 60s. Like I think he is in some form right now, and I have nothing against it. Like sounds like such a great trade. I wish I was going to do it. I'd rather pay up for the top end of town in Eliesa Katoa this week, but I got nothing against anyone doing that trade this week, to be honest. I hadn't considered it until I looked at the stats of Wong, and I haven't considered it for myself, but geez, I can understand it.
Yep, 100%. Musti is the last question. Grant and Brandon, he aims it at. I think he's due to go off soon, but thoughts on bringing in Egan instead of Nikora this week, and then one of Starling or Mamo to Nikora next week?
Yeah, I mean, Nikora's not going out of sight anytime soon. I don't think that he's up against Ben Trebojevic. They've defended okay on that edge. I don't think there's a world that says that Nikora is likely to get a 120 this week and then become more expensive. So if you need to get in a cheapie, get your cheapie. I don't even think, look, to be honest, Musti, I know we chatted about this a little bit. I don't know if Nikora is the guy to go right now. I know that he's an ex-gun. I know he'll probably go on a run at some point, but Savs and I had a pretty good chat in the podcast about David Fafita, who I think Nikora is going better than at the moment, but he's scoring so many tries and he's not averaging that well. That's concerning to me. Last year, he wasn't scoring the tries and we were trying to pick when he was going to go on the run of tries. He's already had a run of tries. Like, he's a back rower. He's not going to score every week. I think I'd look elsewhere. That's a separate point to the original one. I'd go Egan this week, but I'd actually rather go a different gun, to be honest.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think Nikora is going to be in our plans eventually, but it's never this early. Like, the trend doesn't usually hit this early. I think towards later in the year, that's when like his base and power goes up a bit. More tackle breaks because sides are just a bit more tired in general, I guess. But since the tries are coming now, is he going to get them same stats and have less tries later on? But that kind of evens it out to what he's scoring now towards later in the season. So I would wait, but I don't mind going early on him. But I don't think like by leaving Nikora till next week is absolutely drastic if you're looking at getting in Nikora anyway. Like,
not at all,
you don't
right?
need to wait. Like, you can wait.
I don't think he's a must get. Like, I don't think waiting a week is an issue on him. Like, he's a good price and everything, $620K. But yeah, to answer your question, Musti, specifically, I would be getting Egan this week because I don't actually see too many 2RF cheapies on the horizon outside of Hugo Savala.
Hugo. Break even at 45 and he's played 3 games.
Yeah.
At bottom dollar.
Yep. Very impressive. I think, look, he'll be another week or two away, but I think this is the week of the 2RF cheapie.
Yep.
That's what I'd be doing.
All right, cool. That's it for the Q&A episode, guys. Make sure to join the Patreon and ask the questions in that thread. If you want to be featured next week, the winner, Matt, who asked a question on the flex this week, was featured on the main podcast, and he's the coach of the consensus side this week, who scored very well last week. The coach of that made some trades, sold Iongi last week, which I see why he's done it. Yep. Captain Gutho,
well done.
And also went up to 13,000.
Yeah.
So the canoe crew is on the rise.
So selling Iongi, obviously pretty unlucky. I think a lot of people sold him last week, and this side's on the rise.
Yep. 100%.
We did. I know you normally talk about this stuff, Savs. We did. We've got the WhatsApp part of the Patreon now, which is a little bit easier if you're not so savy around Patreon.
Actually, I think I've been slacking in that department because I've been putting everything in WhatsApp.
Yep.
But I've got to try and double up everything.
Yeah,
in
I think
Patreon as well.
I think it's just doubling up, right?
Yeah.
But if you want the engagement side of Patreon, I feel like it's a bit easier for the engagement side.
Yeah.
But all the information will run through Patreon. To be honest, that WhatsApp is really a expanded area of Patreon where you can engage with us a little bit more readily and stuff.
That is what the Patreon is, really.
That's it. Well, but what I mean is all we do is move. Like, the Patreon is a place to save information and
Save
stuff.
information,
Whereas
yeah.
WhatsApp's the place to engage.
Yeah. So especially we post everything like early releases and everything like that. So enjoy your SuperCoach and go Nathan Cleary because he's still my captain as of Wednesday, 7 p.m.
It's Tuesday, but good job.
Unless Hughes is in my flex.
Yep.
All right. See you later,
See you guys.